Okay, real talk for a second. You check your bank account, you just got paid, and somehow it's already gone. Rent, car note, groceries, that subscription you forgot to cancel, and by the 15th of the month, you're eating ramen and praying nothing goes wrong with the car. Sound familiar? Here's the thing. You've probably blamed yourself for that. I need to budget better. I need more discipline. I need a side hustle. But look, what if I told you that the system you're operating in was never designed to make you wealthy? It was designed to keep you a customer. And the Bible, thousands of years before modern banking even existed, already warned us about exactly this. My name is Coach Vanta, and I spend way too much time thinking about biblical money secrets that banks don't want you to know. If you're someone who's tired of living paycheck to paycheck, tired of feeling like money is something that just happens to you instead of something you control, this video is for you. And hey, before we go further, hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if this is already hitting home, because it's about to get a lot more real. Now, here's what most people don't realize. We've been taught that money is neutral, that banks are just helpful institutions that hold our money and help us buy houses and cars, just tools, neutral tools. But the Bible doesn't talk about money as neutral, not even close. Proverbs 22:7 says, "The rich rules over the poor, and the borrower is the slave of the lender." Read that again. The borrower is the slave of the lender. That's not a metaphor for feeling stressed about your credit card bill. That's a description of a power structure, and it's one that modern banking runs on. Compound interest, minimum payments, revolving credit, these aren't accidents. They're mathematically engineered to keep you paying just enough to stay afloat, but never enough to get free. Now, you might be thinking, Coach Fanta, banks aren't evil, they're just businesses. And you're right, I'm not saying there's a guy in a top hat twirling his mustache, plotting your financial doom. But here's what I am saying. A business makes more money the longer you owe it money. That's not a conspiracy, that's just math. And the Bible told us to watch out for that math thousands of years before Visa existed. Let's actually look at the math for a second, because numbers don't lie. Say you've got a $6,000 credit card balance at 24% interest, which is pretty average for credit cards in America right now. If you only pay the minimum payment, roughly 2 to 3% of the balance, do you know how long it takes to pay that off? Over 15 years, and you'll pay almost double what you originally borrowed just in interest. That's not a loan, that's a leash. Now, compare that to what Deuteronomy 28 describes as the blessing of obedience. You shall lend to many nations, but you shall not borrow. Being a lender, not a borrower, is literally described in Scripture as a position of blessing and strength. Being chronically in debt is described as a curse. That's not me being dramatic, that's the text. Here's where it gets really interesting, though, because it's not just math, it's psychology. Here's what most people don't realize. Banks and marketers know something about human nature that most Christians have never stopped to think about biblically. They know that we are wired for instant gratification. That's not a modern invention, that's an ancient problem. It's literally the story of Esau trading his entire birthright, his future inheritance, for a single bowl of soup because he was hungry right now. That's every buy now, pay later ad you've ever seen. That's every 0% APR for 12 months offer. That's every store credit card that gives you 15% off today if you sign up right now. They are handing you soup, and they are asking for your birthright. And this is where it gets really interesting, because the antidote the Bible offers isn't just have more willpower. The Bible actually gives us a structural solution, not just a motivational one. It doesn't say try harder, it gives you a system. So here's the actual secret. Ready? The Bible teaches a specific order of operations for money, not a suggestion, an order. First, give. Proverbs 3:9 says to honor the Lord with the first fruits of all your produce, not the leftovers, not whatever's left after Netflix and DoorDash, the first portion. Second, save. Proverbs 21:20 says, "The wise one stores up choice food and olive oil, but fools gulp theirs down." The wise person saves before they spend, consistently. Third, live on the rest. Notice the order: give, save, then spend. Most people live in the exact opposite order: spend, 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 and then hope there's something left to save or give. And when there's nothing left, which there never is, they borrow to cover the gap. That's the entire secret. It's not complicated, but it is deeply countercultural because our entire economy is built to convince you to reverse that order.
Now look, I already know what some of you are thinking. Coach Vanta, that's easy to say, but I genuinely don't have enough money to give and save and cover my bills. I hear you, and I'm not going to pretend that's not a real, painful situation for a lot of people watching this. But here's the thing. This principle isn't about the amount. It's about the order and the habit. Giving 5% and saving 5% on a small income builds the exact same spiritual and financial muscle as giving and saving larger amounts on a bigger income. The habit is what compounds, not just the money. Think of it like this. A small stream that flows consistently year after year will eventually carve a canyon through solid rock. A flood that comes once and disappears carves nothing. Consistency beats intensity every single time. And here's the part banks really don't want you thinking about. Compound interest works both ways. It's the reason debt destroys you slowly, and it's the reason saving builds you slowly. Same force, opposite direction. If you take just $200 a month and put it into a simple, long-term investment account averaging historical market returns, over 30 years, that's not just $72,000 you put in. With compounding, that can grow into several $100,000 for money you'd otherwise never notice missing from a paycheck. Ecclesiastes 11:2 says to give a portion to 7 or even to 8, for you know not what disaster may happen on earth. That's literally an ancient instruction for something we now call diversification. Don't put everything in one place. Spread it out, protect it, let it grow in multiple directions. The wisest financial advice on earth was sitting in Scripture the entire time. We just weren't taught to look for it there. So let's make this real. Here's exactly what to do this week. Step 1, open a separate savings account today, separate from your checking account, so you're not tempted to touch it, even $25 to start. Step 2, set up an automatic transfer for the day after you get paid. Give first, save second, automatically, before your willpower even has to be involved. This removes the psychology problem entirely because you're not relying on discipline in the moment. Step 3, pick your highest interest debt and attack it with anything extra you have while making minimums on everything else. This is often called the debt avalanche method, and it mathematically saves you the most money over time. Step 4, track every dollar for the next 30 days, not to shame yourself, to see clearly. Proverbs 27:23 says, "Know well the condition of your flocks and give attention to your herds. You cannot steward what you refuse to look at." That's it. That's the whole framework. Give, save automatically, attack debt strategically, and track it. It's not flashy, but it's biblical, it's mathematically sound, and it works. Here's the thing I want you to walk away with today. You were never meant to be a permanent customer of a financial system that profits off your struggle. Scripture is clear, over and over, that God's design for His people is stewardship, ownership, and generosity, not survival, not slavery to a balance you can't seem to shrink. This isn't about getting rich for the sake of getting rich. It's about getting free enough that you can be generous, obedient, and at peace, instead of anxious, stretched thin, and one emergency away from disaster. The system won't teach you this. It's not designed to, but the Bible already did. You just had to know where to look. If this video helped you see money differently, do me a favor. Hit subscribe, drop a thumbs up, and tell me in the comments what's the one step from today you're actually going to do this week. I read every single comment, and honestly, that's my favorite part of doing this. I'll see you in the next one. Stay faithful with the little and watch what God does with the much.